Les Miserables, Chapter 13, The Day That Follows Night. Javert didn't recognize me. He gripped his stick and stared. "Who are you?" he asked calmly. "Myself," I replied. "And who is that?" "Jean Valjean." Javert put the stick between his teeth. He clapped a hand on my shoulder and leaned forward. Our faces nearly touched. He saw it was me. He had chased Thénardier to the sewers. He had gone after a mouse and caught a lion. "Inspector Javert," I said, "you have got me. I am your prisoner. Just grant me one thing. Help me take this man home. He needs a doctor." Inspector Javert called for his carriage. His face was hard, like stone. By the time we reached Marius's grandfather's house, it was late in the evening. Everyone was asleep. The doorkeeper let us in. "There is still life in him," I said, and laid the wounded young man on the couch. I joined Javert in the buggy, but there was one more thing I needed to do. I asked him for one more favor. "Let me go home for a minute. After that you can do what you like with me," I said. Javert was silent for a moment. Then he pulled down the window in front of him and said to the driver, "Drive to number 7, Rue de l'Homme Armé." I wanted to tell Cosette that Marius was safe. I wanted to tell her where I kept my money. Then I would go with Javert. It was over for me. "I'll wait for you here," said Javert when we had arrived. I went upstairs to my room. Before calling Cosette, I looked out the window. To my astonishment, Javert was gone. It was only later that I learned the truth. Javert threw himself into the Seine and drowned. Maybe he couldn't bear to take me to prison. Maybe his duty to the law made it impossible for him to let me go. But I had spared his life, so he needed to spare mine. You know the story from here, my dear Cosette. Now you know that the money I gave you when you married Marius, 600,000 francs, was really mine to give. I wasn't at peace living in your house because of my secret. One day I took Marius aside. I told him I was an ex-convict. Marius was stunned. But what does it mean?" he asked. "It means I was a prisoner for 19 years, I said. "I escaped. I belong in prison even now." "But you didn't have to tell me," said Marius. "You could have gone on living with us under the name you were using, Fauchelevent." "I once stole a loaf of bread to stay alive," I replied, "but now I cannot steal a name in order to go on living." "How would it be if some day we were all out together and the police recognized me and took me away?" I continued. "What would Cosette think? No, it's better this way." But I made Marius promise not to tell you. I moved out of his house. He said I could visit every evening, and I did. But Marius's welcome vanished. Soon I knew he didn't want me to come by. I missed an evening now and then. Finally, I stopped my visits. "I'm sorry I hurt you, Cosette. I'm sorry I pulled away from you. I loved you like a father, yet I wasn't your father. I made you stop calling me father. I couldn't bear the lie any more. I saw the hurt in your eyes when I asked you to call me Monsieur Jean. Marius thinks I stole the money. Now you can tell him the truth. I was an outcast all my life. I have loved you, Cosette, for as long as I have known you. I did everything I could to make you happy. Now I am finished. I am ready to die. I will lie down and wait for the end to come. It won't be long. Soon I will wake to a new day when this dark night is over." The pen fell from Jean Valjean's fingers. He had given up on life, but he did not rest for long. Suddenly someone knocked at the door. It was Cosette and Marius. They had come to see him. Cosette rushed into the room. Marius stood in the doorway. "Cosette," said Jean Valjean. He sat upright in his chair. His face was thin and pale, but his eyes were happy. Cosette ran into his arms. "Father," she cried. "So you have forgiven me, my Cosette?" asked Jean Valjean. Looking at Marius, he said, "And you too? Have you forgiven me?" Cosette's eyes filled with tears. Marius bowed his head. "Thank you," said Jean Valjean. "I have lived a hard life. Now I can die in peace." Jean Valjean walked to his bed and lay down. He felt as though the world were slipping away from him. Marius ran to his bedside. "Now I know what you did for me," he said. "Why didn't you tell me? It is I who asks forgiveness of you." Marius was on his knees. Cosette was kneeling too. "You saved my life," said Marius. "Even more, you gave me Cosette. I can never repay you." "You have no need to say all this," murmured Jean Valjean. "You will not spend another day in this horrible place," said Marius. "You are Cosette's father, and mine as well. You are part of us." "Yes, father," said Cosette, "you will come to live with us." "Children, I am dying," whispered Jean Valjean. "I will not live in this world much longer." "You will not die," said Marius. "People don't die just like that. You have suffered so much, but now your suffering is over. You must not only live, you must live with us." "See, father," said Cosette, "Marius says you aren't to die. We will be happy together." Jean Valjean smiled. "Come close to me, both of you," he said. "I love you dearly. How sweet it is to die like this." The old man's eyes closed for the last time. Light from 2 silver candlesticks fell on his face. Cosette and Marius kissed Jean Valjean goodbye, but he could not return their kiss.